Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome to Studio Live today. Let's get on with the show. In this Creator Series interview, I will be talking to one of the original pioneers of music creation on the iPhone and the iPad. Please welcome to Studio Live today, the one and only Jade Starr. How are you doing today, Jade?
I'm good. How are you? How's everyone? I'm good.
I'm doing exceptionally well, having a great day. It's a Sunday for us here in Australia. Did you know you're my first Australian guest on the Creator Series? That's a bit crazy. We're like 12 in, you're my first Australian guest.
Aussie, Aussie, Aussie.
Oi, oi, oi. So in this series of videos, we find out from creators what makes them tick and find out a little bit about their music origin story. That's where we usually like to start. So, Jade, I'm going to throw over to you. Why don't you let us know what your origin story is? Why do you create music? What got you into doing this music caper?
Well, when I was a kid, I used to like to jump around a lot on a trampoline and pretend I was a rock star. And my mum always said I was going to be a performer. My dad tried to make me play football when I was a kid, and that didn't really go too well. I was a good footy player, but I hated it. And I don't know, I got into acting at school, and then somebody said there that I was a fairly good singer, which I didn't believe. And this is only, year 7 kind of thing. And then I joined my first band, and it was a punk band when I was about 13 years old.
Nice.
And it was all this anti-government stuff. And I was 13. I had no idea about politics, and I just like to swear a lot and jump around. My first series band was called At Random. We were like this Metallica hybrid thrash thing. And I'd do all this and then all these high notes. It was like Halloween crossed with Creator. It was weird, really extreme. And I think it was in year 12 when I did this music course in year 12. It was amazing. This thing, VCE music course, because the VCE, the school education system here, they trialed it for 2 years. And I was lucky enough to be a part of the second year of the trial. You paid $500 for the year. When you got put into this class, all the kids in the class got separated into 3 bands, and then you had to learn 50 covers by the first 3 months of school. Mind you, you're doing English, mathematics, and science as well. So that's all. You got your own music teacher, and the 3 bands had to compete against each other. And by midway through the year, we were doing gigs every Friday in front of the school. And then by the end of the year, we were touring every school in Victoria, playing all girls schools and getting screams by girls and stuff. Like when I'm like 18, just going, what the hell? But how I found out I could actually sing came through that course, because I was singing death metal. When I joined the course, I put down as a guitarist. And the first day, I just love telling this story. The first day, there we were. The first song we had to learn was Love Shack by the B-52s. Classic. And I'm looking at the sheet music going, I'm a metalhead. I have no idea what sheet music is. So I turned my amp down and was pretending to play. And then the music teacher cut the song and went, you're not playing guitar. Can you not read music? And I went, nah. What are we going to do with you? And I was lucky enough that night, when we went home, the singer in my band never came back to class the next day. So when we came back, they went, we need a singer. You, the idiot who can't play guitar, can you sing? And our first song, as I said, was Love Shack. And he gave me the mic, and it was like, hey, you see a painted sign by the side of the road. And you're in. And
that is awesome. You just got us a copyright strike. Well done.
That wasn't long enough.
So how did you go from? So we've got a lot to talk about all about creating. But where did you go? Sure. So from there, from high school, and then obviously the next I won't age you out here, but the next many years to where you are now with producing and creating music and doing all the things. What was the transition there when you said, "Yep, I'm going to start playing live, creating my own music, doing all that sort of caper"?
So I joined a band called Despised. I played with them for about 5 years. We did a CD. We toured around Australia, very much like Mr. Bungle, thrash, funk, jazz fusion. Nice. I started doing session stuff as well. And then after I quit that, I started this band called Filth, and that was a grindcore kind of thing. It was all a bit of a joke. I moved to Sydney. I played a whole bunch of different bands. And then I began transition. So I was in a whole bunch, FMC, this grindcore band I'm still in, Running with Scissors, all these great bands. And then I transitioned from male to female, went through all that. So I stopped playing music, actually, for 3 years, because I thought, who's going to be into a transgender person? Back then, it was a whole different world, It was 2003.
Yeah.
I moved to Sydney. I met this amazing person who I dated for about 5 years. And that person just kept saying to me, you should play music. You should play music. So by 2006, I jumped on MySpace. And God, I missed MySpace so much. It was the greatest platform of all time because it was like Facebook, but it was about music. And people connected through music, not through boring statuses and stuff. But anyway, from there, Jade Starr happened and DreadCircus. And I released an album. I got to tour. I've been overseas. And then iOS happened in about 2010. And it changed everything.
It did, and that's a brilliant segue into what I know a lot of folks on Studio Live today will want to hear about, because without talking you up too much, because I know you're a very humble person, but the iOS world, so what that didn't mean to sound bad, the iOS world is now, I think we take it for granted that we have apps and that we have all of these great tools and software. What was it like in those early days when Steve Jobs said, here's an iPhone, you can't put apps on it, you can't do anything with it, and you went, this is not exactly going to be the best mobile creation tool of all time? What were those early days like? I'd love a history lesson, because I wasn't around in iOS back then, and I know you were. What was the scene?
They were awful. They were so horrible. The first iPhone came out, I actually imported one from the US. It didn't have an app store on it. Nothing. I was a part of a jailbreak crew.
Yep.
And for those who don't know about jailbreaking, back in the old days, you used to have to take your phone, plug it into iTunes, and get this code. Like, somebody would develop this jailbreak code. You'd inject the code into the phone and overwrite iOS's lock, their fencing around the whole system. So you'd be able to get into it, and you'd be able to add things to iOS, like colored icons, different fonts, the ability to move files from, there were no apps. There wasn't even a camera. There wasn't a video camera or nothing. So we started developing apps. And that's when Steve Jobs basically got the idea for the App Store, because of what we had done. And then the next year, the iPhone 3G came out, and then here's the App Store. And it was like a godsend. But, a lot of the ideas, and all through the years, Steve Jobs pretty much ripped off each year everything that was already being put on the iPhone through jailbreaking.
Yeah.
So when I started doing music, it was on the iPhone 3G. Yep. No video camera, no nothing. To actually transfer files, you would have to because you could put in this program called iFile. So you'd have an app, and I was using Music Studio back then. There was no GarageBand, and I still use Music Studio to this day. It's such a great app.
Yeah.
And you'd have to open this iFile app, go into the Apple file system like a MacBook. It's the same Mac file system. Find the file, plug your phone into your computer, transfer the file across, and then from there transfer it back into the phone into another app. Oh my God. Horrible.
That sounds like fun, and people now complain because they have to use an adapter to plug in their USB drives, and it's like,
$50. Take my money.
Very cool. So after those early days, to where you are now, obviously that's a lot of time passed there between the iPhone 3 and the iPhone 11 now that we're up to, and I know that your current setup there. Why don't you just take us a little bit through where you're at now? You're because
I'm on a 6S.
6S. Oh, the 6S is the greatest iPhone in history. Probably always will be. So the 6S, you've got the iPad Pro that you're using there, and that every time I run into a problem, still, I think you've probably never lost those hacking routes of getting things done, because even when I run into a problem now, I say, I don't know how to do this in iOS. I'm gonna ask Jade, and you've usually got a solution free for me, which really helps out. So in terms of that, with recording, so what is it about recording in iOS that floats your boat, that you go, I want to use my iPad, my iPhone, I want to use iOS to record my music?
Well, it started out as spite, because I got my first iPad, and I was already working on the iPhone, and it was spite, seriously, because the iPad had just come out, and I got one immediately.
Yep.
And it was the tech pundits that I just got sick to death of reading this. It's a consumption device. It's a consumption device. And I just couldn't believe the lack of foresight from tech people. You know, these are the people who are shaping our future, supposedly. Not. They're just horrible journalists who are just saying it's just consumption. It's a giant iPhone. It's never going to be good enough. Plus, you know, I'd worked so many years in the studio, and to hold this in my hand and see GarageBand on it the first time was like, I could just see it. This is going to be the future. It just is. And with the rate that the iPhone was changing each year with faster chipsets and all that stuff, it wasn't going to be long. And it was such a bigger device too. You could fit a bigger battery in it. I could just see it, you know. I was surprised it took so long for the iPad Pro to actually evolve and become a thing. So I wanted to record an album using only iOS as the recording tool. And that's it. And I wanted to stick it to the man, stick it to the studio, stick it to the music industry. Because, I mean, I was already doing bands like Utensils and stuff where, you know, we tried to buck the system and tried to prove that music can be music with noise and by smashing things. And because it had become so formulated back from when Milli Vanilli to now like Ed Sheeran, who I can't stand, is just as bad as Milli Vanilli to me.
Well, I know Ed watches the channel. Better be careful.
That's all right. You know I don't like you, dude. Sorry. But so that was the idea, to take the iPad, make an album on it, and show people that, you know, you can do this. Unfortunately, like, my album has taken 7 years to create, but the reason for that was, see, I don't want to play with other people. I don't play nice with other people. I've been in bands my whole life. It's like being married to 5 people, and being with one person's hard enough. So I'm better with myself. So over those 7 years, I basically have taught myself to play drums, piano, saxophone, violins, cellos, and I've been learning all that with my iPad and YouTube and lending instruments from people. So that's been the goal. So it started out as spite, and now here we are, 2020, around the corner. And it turned out, oh my God, the studio I have here is comparative to any big studio I've ever been in. And I could never go back to another studio, even though I still meet engineers who hear I'm recording using iOS and get the obligatory eye roll. And I just want to take their eyes out of their head and put it in their mouth and go, eat those eyes, please stop rolling your eyes at me. Like, it's not about the gear, it's about the passion, the soul, the drive, the intent, if you will.
Absolutely. And you know that, you know, you're preaching to the converted, because clearly that's what I'm all about as well. And there are still the people that are just the nice ones are shocked and surprised. The ones that are a bit more judgy are not so. They're like, no, you can't do that. You can't. They're like, yeah, watch me. So
they're living in the past. It's such a shame. They're living in the past, and then not, you know, what's the saddest thing about it? They're not going to encounter and work with artists who probably have a lot more than the artists they're currently working with. You know, as engineers in big studios, those kind of people, because they're looking at artists who are using iOS, or producers who are artists as well, and poo-pooing them. And they're cutting off half their bread and butter. It's so silly.
Yeah, no, it is. I mean, we could probably rant for the rest of the interview on that.
Of course.
I know people would want to hear a lot more from you. So we've talked about, you know, your history, your origin story, what got you into music, what got you into recording, and why you're actually choosing iOS to record. Now, I know that you could probably do 15 minutes on this, but what is your go-to pieces of hardware or software for recording? So let's get into the nerdy technical stuff. What are you using right now that you're loving?
I'm loving my UR22. It's fantastic. I have 2 of them so I have a UR22 and my trusty. I got this off
there you go. That's
eBay.
Awesome.
Used this pre-Sonus. I won, so it's really old. I got it off eBay for $30 secondhand. I've had it for 3 years. It's traveled to America back and forward twice in a suitcase. It's been thrown at the wall. It still works beautifully.
Rock
So
solid.
I have two. I have this and my UR22 side by side with my iPad Pro in the middle.
Yep.
And these are networked together. One's running into my iPad 2017, and the other's running into my iPad Pro. And then I've got them networked together at times to go into either one at the same time.
Nice.
That's basically my setup, and I've got my M Audio Code 49 keyboard,
Yep.
and my BX5, is that what they are? M Audio monitors.
Yep.
But that's it. That's basically my whole studio. I've got this microphone I use here, which is the Steinberg condenser that came with the UR22 pack. I got a Shure SM58, of course. If you don't have one of those, smack yourself on the hand because you need one. One of the most important things that I'm using at the moment is my USB hub. Like, it's like, everyone get a powered USB hub. Get one with at least 7 ports or something like that.
That I recommended you use at least 7 ports. I'll just put that to
I've got that one as well. But I got a 7 port, and it's even better.
Yeah,
you can just fit more things in.
Right. The only thing better than some is more.
More. Less is more for most things, but with
USB ports,
more is more. But yeah, the most important thing, I'll show it to you. I'll grab it because it's not plugged in. One sec. Oh,
I'll do the music, the whole music. Do, 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 do. No, I can't do it. There you go. 2 copyright claims, Jade. We've both sung a song now. It's going to be all going downhill. Oh, look at this.
So I got this off eBay for about $25. It's a caddy for your hard drives, internal hard drives, because I've got about 20 hard drives from all my old computers over the years, loaded with stuff. And now that we have iOS 13 and it can take hard drives, it didn't initially work for me, but I realized all my hard drives were in obviously the wrong format.
Yeah.
So now that's why I had to get a computer recently. But this thing, as you know, to have this permanently plugged into that USB, along with my 2 terabyte hard drive and a memory stick as well, plenty of options for backing up and moving stuff around to keep. If you can't afford an expensive iPhone or iPad with a lot of memory, lash out and buy something like that. Buy your hub and get your memory sticks, or get an external hard drive. Save your money that way, and then you can balance the lack of memory if you've only got enough for 32 gig or whatever.
Absolutely.
That's my advice.
Excellent tip. No, that is really cool, because when you're paying the Apple tax and you're going from 64 to 128 to 256 to 512, you're paying thousands at that point, whereas you could probably invest those thousands in $50 for a nice hub, and then $100 for a giant portable hard drive, and you are off to the races. Excellent tip. Let's talk software. So the hardware side is a nice simple setup that you have there. What about the apps? So I know you use GarageBand a bit. You also use other DAWs in iOS and other plugins. You're always telling me about something cool that I should be using, and then I just say I'm too simple and I can't work it out. So what are the things that you would recommend to people out there to get a better sound on their iOS recordings?
Look, I use GarageBand, probably not as much as everybody in our GarageBand users group. I use it a lot for demoing, definitely, because for me, it's the best place to start always for any kind of song, anything. I normally always start that. It's my blank canvas, because you can kick off some drums, kick off a basic bass, or whatever you need. It's amazing for that. The problem I always find with why I've had to move away from GarageBand for a better finished product is the mix downs, because of Apple's built-in compression. It can hinder material, in my opinion, and that's sad, because so many people create great stuff in GarageBand. So I use it, say for drums, I'll use it for drums, and I use my electronic drum kit in GarageBand, and then I always go to Audio Pro. Audio Pro is my go-to for my DAW, because I can import anything from GarageBand. When you're importing single tracks at a time, also from GarageBand into Audio Pro, the compression isn't as bad, because it's only a single track that's being compressed. it's when it's a whole song that it's compressing it, and you're losing so much EQ. That is why I use Audio Pro so much. iSymphonic is just genius. A lot of money. You have to be rich almost. And
I think that's why I haven't reviewed it yet. I bought it on your recommendation, and the base package was like $20, and then I looked at all these other packs that are like $20 each or something like this, and I'm like, I can't really go out there and tell people to spend $200 to get a symphony in their iPad, but maybe some people want to. But sorry, I cut you off.
It's worth it. It's worth it. It completely is. I think I'm 3 packs short of the whole lot, but there's stuff I don't need, so I don't care. I think they're the most expensive as well. Let's see, drums, EG Pulse. I can't give enough praise to that. Not only because it's a great drum pad and great to use with E-drums, you can import any sounds into it. You can put anything and assign it to a pad, anything, and you can shift, you can stretch it, shift it. It's all in there, and you can use it as an AU3 in GarageBand. So why use the sampler in GarageBand when EG Pulse is so much better than that, I feel. Guitars, obviously I use Bios FX. I've just paid for the whole pack for that. I use ToneBridge. I love ToneBridge. It's free. Get ToneBridge. So many great presets. You know, as a metalhead, it's the only pack I've put in like a band like Impetigo. They're an obscure grindcore band, and wham, all their songs are there. It's like, what? That's amazing. All their sounds. I can't believe that. Just really obscure bands are in there. So and it's free. Like I use Music Studio is another go-to because it's got a great MIDI to edit MIDI in there. And I use that in conjunction with GarageBand a lot. Like I sync the MIDI clock. We'll run the MIDI from Music Studio into GarageBand because the MIDI clocks works beautifully. Look, there's so many apps. It's ridiculous. I have on my iPad Pro currently, I think there's about 300-400 apps, something like that. So it's pretty bogged down.
It's very cool, and obviously you can go nuts and you can buy things and you can spend lots of money buying lots and lots of apps, but the key is to find a need for them and then get them. And I think that's where I've only you'll be happy to know that I've just got EG Pulse, so I'll be checking that out very soon. So yes, that'll be on the channel here, and because I need a better drum sample kind of solution because I've used the GarageBand drums to every possible extent, I think, and some of the iSymphonic I need to get back into. So 2020 here on Studio Live today, I'm basically going to ask Jade once a week and say, well, what do I check out next? Because I need to expand my iOS music horizons and try some new things. All righty. Now, we do have folks here live. I realize I've been totally neglecting the folks here live, but I wanted to say hello. We've got Gino here. We've got Clearly Epic, David Anthony, Starboy Dior is here as well, BMX Caboodle, Timothy, Desolate Morning, Lil Fire, Marcel, Mobile Metal, a lot of the usual suspects, and a few new names there. If you do have any questions for Jade that you want to throw her way, please throw those in the live chat because we've got about 10 minutes left here. I've saved all the tough questions for the end. I haven't really, but we'll finish off in about 10 minutes. But yeah, if you have questions, let us know. And of course, jump into the comments and the description because we're going to link up. In fact, it's already there. You can just go to jadestar.com.au. Yeah, everything about you is there.
Yep. I just updated the website last night. I spent 4 hours on it.
Nice.
With all my links to music, my t-shirts are now up there as well. Heaps of new merch.
Excellent. So jadestar.com.au down in the description. Check it out. So we'll the question I like to ask people is, you've been creating for a long time, and a lot of people that watch this channel are just getting into their creative journey and are starting out. So what is the biggest piece of advice you would give to someone who's just starting out in home or mobile recording and they want to get it done, they want to be successful, they want to make good music? What do you tell them?
Write good music first. Focus on the music. Focus on your passion. Focus on the things that make you happy when you write music. Believe in that. The gears always last. Always think about the gear last because it's so cheap. It's ridiculous. And you can, as you say all the time, I mean, the way I met you, I can't sit here and say I know it all. Nobody does. I'm not perfect. I'm imperfectly perfect, and that's the best way to be with music. And I mean, I found you because I was searching for some menial little thing with GarageBand, which I should have even known myself. And I came across your videos, and we just connected straight away because I follow your mantra completely. Just to have the passion for what you're writing, believe in what you're writing, create good songs, and just start cheap. Use the microphone on your device. Look, the most important things are have a device, have a connection kit, because if you're already playing music, you've already probably got an amp or a mic or these kind of things. The USB connection is the most important thing to Lightning. And just lash out and get some form of hub, get some form of audio interface, because they're cheap, and don't spend a lot. Go on eBay, get a secondhand one. The most, you'll always find stuff on eBay secondhand because it was given to someone and it's sat there collecting dust. It's normally always the way. So pay no money and blow the dust off it and rock the hell out.
Right. Exactly. No, very, very sage advice. Make sure that, that you don't use what you've got when you start out. And I think that is really good advice, because the good thing is people like me that are constantly upgrading and trying something new, we got to give our old stuff somewhere, and we don't always have time to sell it for the best possible price. So you'll always pick up, especially at the entry level, you'll always pick up a cool interface from someone who's just upgraded to the next level, and then you can get theirs for cheap. So do that. And the one thing, I think you mentioned it, the one thing not to skimp on is this sucker here, is the Lightning to USB adapter. Because you use the cheapo ones, you are going to be, I always say, you're like halfway through a face melting epic guitar solo, and then your USB connection goes, this accessory is not smart. And you just boo and hiss your way.
There is an asterisk to that. Unless you're using an iPad Pro, you can skimp on the USB-C to USB connection, because the Lightning adapters, they have a certain chip in them, and that's why you get the problem. It talks to the connector in the iPad or the iPhone, and the secondhand ones don't have that chip, or they try to imitate the chip, and that's why they die so fast. But with USB-C, it's a standard connection, so you can skimp and get a $14 one. I've got about 3 of them, and they work beautifully. And they come with a HDMI input as well.
I know.
Which is awesome.
I'm a little jealous. If I'm going to lash out and buy an iPad Pro 3rd Gen, it's going to be for the USB-C connection, because I've seen some of the stuff you do with the biggest problem with Lightning is that it only supports one string of data at any given time. So you're trying, even if you get those fancy double adapters, I can guarantee you, one of them is only going to be power. You're not going to be able to hook up 2 things. There's no such thing as a Lightning hub. That's why you need to get it to USB and hub it up with your USB as quickly as possible. But there you go. Whenever I get a question, in fact, someone asked me a question about their Gen 3 iPad Pro, and I'm like, hold the line, please. I'll just get Jade speed dial. Jade, what does this person have to buy? And you're like, get them to Officeworks, get them to get this and this and this, and then they're good to go. And I did, and they did, and they're recording. So there you go. Got to use your connections, don't you?
I would do the same to you, but you do so many videos a day. I don't need to do it. Normally I just chat to you in private to
just Google. I say to people,
shoot the crap.
I literally did a video this week where I'm just like, here's how to search Studio Live today for things. It was like the how to buy action figure man episode. It's like, here's how to find my videos. It felt a bit self-serving, but so many people say, hey, did you do a video about this? And I'm like, you can go to my website and search automation, and it will bring up all the videos I've ever done about automation. And they're like, oh, okay, cool.
You have so many videos, Pete. Sometimes I'm looking for something else that's not GarageBand, and you're always in there. I'm like, I can just message you. Go away.
People have literally said, I'm actually sick of you. And I'm just like,
nah. They're lying.
We're all right. We're on the homeward stretch here. Couple to go here. I like to ask this one towards the end here, and it's always a hard one. It gets people thinking. So we'll see how you go with this. You've obviously created a lot of music, a lot of art, a lot of things over the years. What is the proudest moment that you've ever had since you've started writing, creating, releasing music?
It hasn't happened yet.
I like it.
Because I'm proud of everything. Like I listen to everything. I go back and listen to it and love it. Like that's the other thing too. If you're making music and you're not listening to your own music because you're scared someone's going to say, "Well, you listen to your own music," get them away from you. Get any people like that, in kind of negativity. Listen to your own music over and over and over and over again, because you'll. And even if there's bits in it that you hate, like I'll just say briefly, there's a song on one of my albums. It's on Apple's Spotify, whatever. My band's called Despised, and the song's called Follow Me, if you want to go and hear it. And I had the flu when I was recording that song, and the line I had to sing was, "I'll take you to the promised land." And I had the flu and I could not hit that note. And the guy in the studio, the engineer, said, "You're a good singer. I'm just going to slow the tape down and sing it. Can you do that?" And I was like, "Are you kidding me? Awesome. Let's try it." And I went in and fully sung it like, "I'll take you to the promised land." And he played it back and it was perfect. But every time I hear that still now, I know that happened. And for years, when people would hear that and I was in the presence of them, I would automatically talk over the top of it. I was covering it. Yeah. And I learned, and I'm getting to a point with this, I learned, love it. Love that happened. Love the mistakes in your recordings, because you can't change them. So accept it, move on. As you say, record, release. God, I can't even get it right today.
Create, record.
Create, record, release. Get it out the way. There it is. I should have just looked. And the reason I say my next thing is it's because I've been working on this thing for 7 years, and I'm not well. I'm having incredibly full-on health problems, and I shoot straight all the time. This could possibly be the last major thing that I do, because my health problems are so bad, and what I have going on is a ticking time bomb. Every day is like my last kind of thing. It could be. So this new album that's coming will be the greatest thing that I've ever done. It definitely will be. I've put so much into it, and it's not for me. It's not about me. And it's not. My last album was about being trans. This album is about you. It's about everybody, the people out there, what's going wrong, and why we need to connect with each other, and why we need to come together and unite. So that's why it's going to be my greatest thing, because it's about you, and I want to leave that for people.
Absolutely, and I think that's. I mean, we're nearly at the end of the show, and I think that's a really great point to put there. Is that we create music, and it can be a very selfish endeavor. It can be about you, as in me, the person. And when I sort of started Studio Live today and connected with folks like you and have spoken to so many artists, the best people for creating music are people who are not doing things for others, but are doing things that they want to do and sharing their vision and sharing their art with others. So I think I often come back to music. Art is not art until it's shared. So when it's in your head, when you're playing it to yourself, until someone else can experience it, then it's not actually art yet. It's just you doing something for yourself. I think when it goes past selfish and becomes selfless is when it actually gets out there and other people can benefit from it. And whether it makes them laugh, cry, think, changes the way that they do things, I think it's different for everyone. And I personally can't wait to hear and to see this project, because I've been lucky enough to have some sneak peeks along the way of all the things that you've been doing. You've been kind enough to share with me what's been going on, and it's going to be epic, is all I can really say. It's going to be amazing.
You're going to be involved too at some stage when the tour happens, the Fatunch. Can I just say lastly, just with music, I use music these days as medicine, as a healing tool. So in regarding to creating, recording, releasing. So even though it's taken me 7 years to do this, I've actually had to take the time to do this because it's been healing me. It's been the only thing, thanks to the medical world, that's kept my heart beating. And it's getting close to that time now. So there has been a little bit of me holding on to it a little bit because it's been helping so much, but it's getting closer for me to release that, for it to go on and hopefully heal other people, because music heals. It's a frequency, and it heals me, and hopefully everything I produce and release has an effect and heals somebody out there. So that's yeah, that's my mantra. Do what makes you happy and release what makes you happy.
Yeah, I love it. I think, yeah, happiness is undervalued as an end goal, and your own happiness is what it's about, and the happiness of other people, helping other people out. And again, I think that's what you do so well. I know that you're super selfless when it comes to questions. When people are putting questions out there, and I know every time I tag you in a question, you jump on there and you're helping other people out, whether it's on Facebook or anywhere on your website, anywhere in social media land. Whenever I see you conversing with people, it's coming from a place of wanting to help them and learn from your experience, which is awesome. We have one question here from the folks that are watching live, and it might be something to finish off here with, which is that you mentioned you didn't know how to read sheet music. Jade, question here from Pyro Steve: did you ever learn to read sheet music?
I sure did. My newest album, it's for my Utensils band, which is now available, called Symphonies of Stupidity. Basically, how I made that album was to play no instruments whatsoever and use these apps on my device where you write symphony orchestral pieces. So I basically wrote a 66-piece orchestral 7-movement symphony over a year. Wow. And then exported the MIDI, imported that from that app into GarageBand, first in the music studio, tinkered with it in there, and then imported it from MIDI into GarageBand and mixed it all down in GarageBand. So I didn't play one single instrument, not like physically or anything. It was all just written in music.
Yeah, wow.
So yeah, I did, but it took me 7 years of learning on YouTube and learning to play drums and all that kind of stuff too. So
awesome.
Got there in the end.
Exactly. I think that's a nice way to go, that full circle from being made a singer because you couldn't play the guitar part, you couldn't read the music, right around to producing your own albums and giant art projects that we're looking forward to seeing coming up real soon. So thank you to everyone who's been here live. Bubba has just thrown a donation out there, so thank you, Bubba. We really appreciate that. Thank you to Clearly Epic, David Anthony, to Pyro Steve, Maffy's Gardens here, Jim Bird's been here, Gino Therese, a bunch of folks that we've probably missed there. If you're watching on the replay, we love you too. And if you do have additional
questions, everybody,
for Jade, please make sure you drop those in the comments. I'm sure you'll be down there answering and helping folks out if they have questions. Throw the really curly ones, especially the ones about USB-C and connecting up.
Thanks, Pete. Yeah, thanks.
It has been a pleasure. Do you have any parting words? I know we've had a lot of wisdom thrown out there, but any parting words for folks before we finish up here today?
No, look, just do what makes you happy. That's my mantra. Be the change you want to see, and do what makes you happy. Those are the most important things. We live in trying times, and the way we're going to come together, I think, is with the frequency of sound and music. It used to bring us back in the 70s. It did it. Anyone remember Woodstock? Look around at the world. Music's been cancelled in schools. Arts are being taken away all over the world. And yet here we all are sitting in these little studios with these little devices, sitting on social media, getting more and more divided. We have the power as musicians. We actually we should be doing this. It's part of our thing as musicians. So be the change you want to see. Play the music that makes you happy, and you'll see a happier world ahead of you. That's my message.
Love it. That is a perfect message and a wonderful way to finish off here. Please do go down to the description, head over to Jade's website that she spent 4+ hours fixing up just for you. So go and check it out and
buy a t-shirt.
Buy a t-shirt, download it, buy her album on iTunes. Actually, you should definitely buy Jade's music. So many different musical projects. I own most of them, and the ones I don't own I stream. So yeah, check out all of her music on all of your different platforms. You'll have a hard time trying to find them all because she has so many different names and so many different. Well,
they're all on my website. They're all on the website.
Go to the website.
My movies, everything.
Yeah, we didn't even touch on it. We're going to have to do a part 2 here where we talk about your animation, your AI, your video projects, your everything else, because we didn't even scratch the surface of your other artistic endeavors. So we will definitely be back. We'll have Jade back on the show in the future. But
thank you, Pete, for having me on. Thank you very much. And thank you for being an absolute wonderful friend. You're such a great person. You do so much for everybody. So thank you very much.
Really appreciate it. We are going to finish up. Goodbye to everyone. Thank you to Jade Starr, and thanks for watching here today on Studio Live today. We shall see you next time. See ya.
Bye.